We are all going to die one day, and if we have to waste what little time we've got playing video games, they better be the right ones. Today we are looking at Epic 7, an anime-style mobile RPG that claims to be free to play, but is it worth my time? I look at a lot of first-person shooters and action games in this series, but every once in a while, I feel like playing a good old-fashioned RPG. Not the Skyrim run around and kill wolves kind of RPG, or those action RPGs with real-time combat action. Sometimes I just want a good old-fashioned turn-based JRPG to just sit back and enjoy at my own pace. As a kid, one of my favorite games was Skies of Arcadia, an epic expansive adventure with sky pirates. It was really cool. I'm not the biggest connoisseur of JRPGs, but I do know the basics. Kid wakes up, it could be in his bed or knocked out, he has amnesia, or his mom tells him to go somewhere, he meets some friends, collects some crystals, and saves the world. Simple. So that's why when browsing the App Store, a game called Epic 7 caught my eye. Promising an animated turn-based RPG full of adventure, strategy, and I quote, characters you can't stop thinking about with personality and charm so lovable, you'll even be thinking about them in your sleep. I guess I can't really blame them for knowing their demographic. But the trailer had me intrigued with its style, so I decided to take a look and find out if Epic 7 is worth my time. So the game starts with actually downloading the game. Back in my day, when you downloaded an app, you were downloading an app. However, I do like that it lets you read about the game's world and characters to get you introduced. Welcome to the high fantasy world of Orbis, featuring characters like Bitchy Princess, Happy Soldier Lady, modern day schoolgirl standing under a fan, and Lolly Boy. Looks like an interesting fantasy world? I don't really want to use that word, but hey, the download's complete. Let's move on quickly. Oh, look, white text on a black background. This is some important stuff. If calamity falls, my heir will rise and deliver all from harm. So this is our hero, Roz Eclair. Roz is the chosen one, of course, and ready to destroy the archdemon. Ooh. He's joined by Veldred, the guy she tells you not to worry about, and Ruli, who seems really happy considering the millions that are dead behind them. Finally, after a bunch of back and forth, Judge Keese comes out saying, "We don't have time for chatting." Yes ma'am. Now you may have noticed the animation in this game is very jiggly, and I don't mean in the obvious places. Epic 7 prides itself on its animation quality, calling itself the playable animation. During character interactions, the game features 2D artwork with an appearance of motion. Think the League of Legends menu and you've got the idea. In-game visuals start to look more like flash animations, but still look clean, with special moves punctuated by full-on animation.
Call, unveil your eye of terror.
Movement takes place on a 2D plane and just requires you to tap the screen in one direction or another. The game always seems to give you a reason to be running somewhere or chasing something, so it makes sense. Forks in the road allow you to explore environments more thoroughly, but never break from side-scrolling. I'm always interested how 2D adventure games handle 3D motion, like some stick with just left and right, but others have you press up to go through paths and doors. What really got me interested in Epic 7 was its combat system. Battles are very reminiscent of classic JRPGs, heroes on one side, monsters on the other. Each character has one normal attack, one that requires some skill points, and one ultimate attack that's usually pretty impressive.
Clear my path.
This game is all about presentation with crazy over-the-top animations like panthers charging the enemy as a sand wizard casts spells that explode. Or this cute pink-haired girl who crashes an eyeball moon into the planet, causing a tidal wave that destroys the entire world. Or an evil specter disguised as a foot fetish for Richard.
Kiss my feet. Kiss my feet.
Don't act like it's not obvious, Richard. Seriously though, some of these give me the same childhood wonder and excitement as Cutlass Fury in Skies of Arcadia. Ha! 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 And then he goes up and he, Cutlass Fury! Ha! Combat plays out like a traditional JRPG though. Some characters are spellcasters, some can heal, some do more damage. It's all about balancing out your team. The game's introduction wraps up with you fighting the archdemon calling in the Guardian Xenon of the 21st century.
Zoom, zoom, zoom.
Guardians are like summons in other RPGs, devastating monsters called down from the gods themselves. Here they show you one of the more powerful ones, the classic "here's what you will become" opening before ripping it away. This epic god is quickly replaced with a little kitty cat that just loves snacks. How quirky! Okay, don't judge a book by its cover, I get it. Kitty goes from Neopets to box art on the next Pokemon game real quick, but it's still no laser space nuke. After Xenon, we get a really well animated scene showing the final battle against the Archdemon. Key moments throughout the game are fully animated, serving as little rewards for beating a tough boss, or in this case, getting you hooked with what the game has to offer. Oh my god, this is gonna be the most epic game ever made. Okay, most of the game is a visual novel style affair, but it definitely has its moments. Even with Epic 7's limited gameplay style, it still has most of what you'd expect. An overworld where characters walk around, albeit on linear paths. Towns are still represented with NPCs to talk to and environments to explore. The story is told in text form and sometimes in full animated cutscenes. There are chests to pick up along your adventure, and that's not a clever harem joke. And the combat I already explained. These elements aren't breaking new ground, but moments definitely hit where the music swells and you're like, hell yeah, let's stop that bad guy and save the world. I was impressed that such a limited game could give me that feeling, but the game's soundtrack had me pumped. You could make anything epic with this. Epic 7 is packed with features, some of which are engaging, while others I couldn't wait for the tutorial to end. Everything centers around the tavern, where your team comes to grab a drink and you come to click menus. It's still a mobile game after all, with tons of features for you to hopefully spend your money on. In the Hero tab, you can customize your team by enhancing skills, changing specialties, and equipment. Each character can be outfitted with different armor and gear, and don't worry, it just applies to their stats, not what they're actually wearing.
Oh, thank God.
The Awaken tab acts like a sphere grid from Final Fantasy to awaken a hero's true potential, and there's even more to delve into, but honestly it's a bit overwhelming for a new player. I got into the basics of these systems and still had a good time, but if you like numbers and stats, you'll definitely find some depth. You can summon new heroes in the Summon tab, this game's version of random loot boxes. By tapping on the ancient book of legend, you can summon new heroes for your team. Will they be generic frogs or busty anime girls? Who knows? And with a flashy spinning animation, a new hero pops out. But I found it weird that summoned heroes don't follow the game's continuity. As you go through the story, you will meet new characters that will join you on your adventure. But if you happen to summon one of those heroes early, they follow you around with zero context to who they actually are. You can tag in certain story-centric characters during chapters, but before that, it makes no sense. It's a double-edged sword because they want to put the most work into story characters, but if you can't summon them, you'll just get generic things like Frog or Night Guy. It is exciting to get some of these rare heroes though, and the game didn't feel stingy with them either. And each character has their own personality and quips, like this girl who really loves math.
Efficiency in everything I do, especially magic and math. Magic is just like math. Shall I find you the answer?
Okay, that got old pretty quick. New heroes start at low levels though, so the further you get, the harder it is to use these new heroes without some grinding. In some ways I feel like I cheated here because when I started the game, it gave me a bunch of cute little penguins that I wasn't sure what to do with. I did, however, find a system in the game where you can trade in certain heroes to level up others, and guess where the penguins went? I'm sure fans of the game will probably say like, what? How could you do that? The penguins are the most rare characters, or something like that, but I didn't know. So while I can't speak for the normal grind of the game, if they give you anything but cute anime girls, just trade that shit in. Speaking of the grind, I did want to mention one element that rubbed me the wrong way. If you look up here during missions, you'll see this little auto button. Oh, that's just an auto run button, right? Have your characters run on their own so you don't have to hold down the button. Wrong. This puts the entire game on autopilot. You don't have to do anything. The computer just battles for you. I know a lot of people will say just don't use it, but I find its inclusion strange. Do the developers have such little faith in their game that they need an autoplay button? The game just grinds itself like a Bitcoin miner crunching numbers. Do you want Judgment Day, Epic 7? Because that's how you get Judgment Day. Back to the tavern, there's connections, a series of special quests that increase your connection with other characters. Oh look, me and Alexa already have a connection. If I can just find her a sun badge, maybe she'll go out with me. And there's also the Sanctuary that I've got to be honest, I barely looked at. The Sanctuary is supposed to act like one of those cities or towns in mobile games, something to keep you coming back to upgrade and unlock new gear and whatever, but this is where I start to lose interest.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
I've got more important stuff to do, like figuring out what's going on with this rank up girl. Like on one hand, she clearly has a human body, but then there's the ears, you know, and the tail. But wait, it's not really a tail. It's part of her hair, but it's placed in a way that it looks like a tail. And like, what's going on? I'm just trying to go on a simple adventure, and I'm getting all confused.
What is this?
Epic 7 does have plenty of adventure though, with the Adventure, Battle, and Arena tabs. The Adventure tab brings you to the main story, running around, saving the world and stuff. Arena is this game's kind of multiplayer where you can test your team of heroes against others in the rankings, and the Battle tab features side quests and small side stories that seem to update pretty regularly. And side stories are full-on campaigns that don't feature the same level of production value, but add some new character interactions and stuff to unlock. I'm really interested in this month's side story for some reason. I'm not sure why.
We got a MILF over here, guys, come on in. We got a hot MILF.
And that kind of does it. Epic 7 was exactly what I thought it would be. I could talk about this game's business model, but it's hard to get mad at a mostly single-player game in this regard. If the in-game shop isn't making it unfair for other players, is it really that bad in a free game? I got plenty of gold or points or whatever and loot boxes and never felt like I was missing out by not paying. This game feels like Final Fantasy XIII mixed with Pokemon. You go through a very linear quest, running down hallways, fighting monsters, and collecting all the anime characters to build the greatest team like no one ever was. Boy lolly, Inuyasha, Night Girl, Furry, Sand Wizard, Eye Patch, Nerd Girl, Smartphone, Math Girl, Black Guy, Happy Girl, Sexy Book, Bunny Girl, Kiss My Feet, Cat Girl, MILF! Da-na-na-na-na. Every fetish. So look, if my cringy Pokemon rap didn't make it clear, I was pretty happy with Epic 7. It gave me the same beats as a traditional JRPG with flashy character animation and simple but compelling enough story and action. It's not some mind-blowing new concept, but I got the mobile JRPG I wanted, and that's all it needed to do to be worth my time.